Every time a woman talks about harassment or violence, the same response shows up: not all men. And here is the ugly truth. Every time you say it, you make the problem worse. You are not defending anyone. You are not solving anything. You are adding fuel to the fire. Men love to believe this phrase clears their name. They think it proves they are one of the good guys. But in reality, it does the exact opposite. It makes you part of the problem you claim you are not. You want proof? Look around. Women are tired of it. They are exhausted from explaining the same reality again and again, only to be interrupted by a man who says, "Well, not all of us." It is like shouting over someone's story just to remind them that you feel uncomfortable. So let's be clear. Saying not all men does not protect you. It exposes you. It shows exactly why women do not feel safe, why they do not feel heard, and why the conversation never moves forward. And now the question: do you disagree? Do you feel attacked right now? Good. Stay with me. Because if you have ever said not all men, this message is for you. So why do men keep saying not all men? If the phrase makes the problem worse, why is it still everywhere? The answer is psychological. First, it is about defensiveness. When men hear stories about harassment or violence, they immediately imagine themselves being accused. Instead of listening to what the woman is saying, they rush to say, "Not me, I'm not like that." It is a reflex, a way to protect the ego. Second, it is about fragility. Many men are not used to being spoken about as a group. They are used to individuality. So when women say, "Men are dangerous," it feels like a personal attack. It feels unfair, and the response comes quickly: not all men. Third, it is about control. Think of how conversations play out. A woman shares an experience. She says she felt scared walking home at night. Instead of focusing on her fear, the man cuts in. Not all men would do that. Suddenly, the conversation shifts. It is no longer about her pain, it is about his reputation. That shift is power. You see this everywhere. A friend tells you about catcalling, and someone says, "But I would never do that." A colleague shares a story about assault, and another replies, "Not all men are like that." In every case, the focus moves away from women's reality and toward men's feelings. The psychology is simple. Men want to separate themselves from the guilty. They want to say, "Don't lump me in with them." But in doing so, they make it harder to talk about the real issue: why women still feel unsafe, unheard, and disrespected. And here is the irony. The louder you say not all men, the more you prove why women feel they cannot trust you to listen. When men say not all men, it does more than shift the focus. It creates consequences in the real world. First, it silences women. Imagine a woman opening up about harassment. It may have taken her weeks, months, even years to speak those words. And the first reply she hears is, "Not all men." In that moment, the conversation dies. Her experience is brushed aside. She learns that men care more about defending themselves than about listening to her pain. Second, it creates distance instead of trust. Women are not stupid. They already know not every man is violent. But when men interrupt to remind them, it feels like betrayal. It feels like the man cares more about his pride than about her safety. That gap grows, and trust erodes. Third, it stops change before it begins. Think about it. If every conversation about violence turns into men insisting not all of us, then the real problem never gets solved. Laws do not change. Attitudes do not shift. Men walk away feeling defended, while women walk away feeling dismissed. Everyone loses. Look around you. Women avoid walking alone at night. They hold keys between their fingers. They share locations with friends when they go on dates. These are not paranoid habits. They are survival strategies. And when men respond with "not all men," it sounds like they are saying, "Your fear is not my problem." That is the consequence. It tells women they are on their own. It tells them men will argue before they will listen. And that message, repeated over and over, makes the world more dangerous, not less. Here is the part most men do not realize. Saying not all men does not just hurt women, it hurts men too. First, it keeps you defensive instead of reflective. When your first instinct is to protect yourself, you never stop to ask the harder question. What role do I play in this culture? What can I do differently? You stay stuck at the surface, defending your pride instead of growing as a person. Second, it makes men look fragile. Every time you shout, "Not all men," you show that your ego is so thin it cannot handle even hearing the word men. Instead of looking strong, you look weak. You look like someone who cares more about his image than about real change. Third, it isolates you. Women hear "not all men" and they stop trusting you. Other men hear it and they see you as insecure. What you think is a shield actually becomes a wall that cuts you off from deeper conversations, deeper trust, and deeper respect. And here is the biggest damage. By saying "not all men," you remove yourself from the solution. You step out of the fight. You make it someone else's problem. And if every man says that, then nothing changes. Violence continues. Fear continues. The cycle continues. So when you say "not all men," you are not protecting yourself. You are proving that you cannot be trusted to listen, to stand up, or to make things better. And in the end, that hurts you as much as it hurts anyone else. So if "not all men" makes things worse, what should men do instead? First, listen without interrupting. When a woman talks about her fear or her experience, do not rush to defend yourself. Sit with the discomfort. Let her words land. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is shut up and hear her. Second, acknowledge the reality. Instead of saying "not all men," try saying, "I hear you. That should not have happened. I believe you." Those words do not erase your identity. They show strength. They show you can put someone else's reality before your own pride. Third, look for your role in the culture. Maybe you are not the one catcalling in the street, but do you laugh when your friend makes a sexist joke? Do you stay silent when a colleague dismisses a woman's idea? Do you brush it off when someone crosses a line? Every small silence keeps the system alive. Speaking up is not about guilt, it is about responsibility. Fourth, act differently. Walk a female friend home without making it weird. Call out harassment when you see it. Teach your sons that respect is strength. Teach your daughters that safety is their right, not a luxury. The truth is this: women already know not all men are dangerous. What they need to know is which men they can trust. And the only way to show that is through action, not excuses. Because in the end, it is not enough to say you are not part of the problem. You have to prove that you are part of the solution. That is why the phrase makes the problem worse. Because ins. So let's put it plainly. Every time a man says "not all men," the conversation gets weaker. Women feel silenced. Change gets stalled. And men themselves stay stuck in a cycle of defensiveness instead of responsibility. Saying "not all men" does not protect you. It exposes you. It shows that your first instinct is to shield your pride, not to face the truth. And the truth is this: women already know not every man is dangerous. What they do not know is which men they can trust. That is why the phrase makes the problem worse, because instead of building trust, it destroys it. Instead of standing beside women, it stands in their way. And instead of being a solution, it keeps you part of the problem. So here is the final question. When women talk about harassment, assault, or fear, do you want to be the man who says "not all men," or the man who listens, believes, and acts? Which side are you on? Drop your answer in the comments. Defend your view. If you think "not all men" is a fair defense, explain why. If you believe it is an excuse that keeps women unsafe, say that too. Do not hold back, because this debate is the only way the truth comes out. And maybe, just maybe, by asking the hard questions, we can finally get closer to the real answers.